Is Othello a great man, worthy of our admiration? Yes, he is much admired as a leader on the battlefield. He's fought several wars in various parts of the world. Brabantio admires Othello greatly, and this admiration actually prompts Brabantio to invite Othello to his home so that he can listen to the stories of Othello's adventures in different parts of the world. Desdemona has turned away, spurned the advances of many eligible young Venetian men. Rodrigo would be one of them, but is captivated by Othello chiefly because of his harsh experiences in war and in different parts of the world. Othello's leadership is so admired by the Venetian government that he is appointed general of Cyprus when it is under threat of invasion by the Turks. Quite an achievement when one considers that Othello is originally from North Africa and would have had a lot of experience with the Turks, and also that he's not Venetian. But there wasn't a Venetian person with the skills, talents, abilities, experience of Othello to actually take on that military invasion. Othello is a noble character who gives his all to any task. He is also worthy of admiration because he's willing to make sacrifices. For example, he leaves Desdemona shortly after their marriage to take up his position as general in Cyprus. He's able to make decisions on his own. For example, the decision to fire Cassio when Cassio is drunk in Cyprus. He loves very deeply, passionately, and is also capable of deep sexual desire. That is why Iago is able to manipulate him into believing that Desdemona has cuckolded him, has cheated on him. His gullibility, Othello's gullibility, his trusting nature, his inability to judge character is a flaw. He's unable to see through Iago and Iago's plans, or to believe that Desdemona is in fact telling the truth. His profound, his deep-seated insecurities are because of his color, his black in a white world, his age, and his experience of sophisticated Venetian life, or rather his inexperience of Venetian life, are crucial, are very important to why Othello is so insecure and easy for him to believe the things that Iago say about Venetian women. The play as a tragedy follows the traditional definition of a tragedy. Othello, a great man, is brought to his downfall as a result of flaws in his character. The flaws would be jealousy, pride, inability to judge character, but predominantly it would be pride and jealousy. The point that Amelia makes is that jealousy is an inherent character trait. That means that it's something that is inside of you, perhaps something that you are born with, or something that you cultivate, or something that you refuse to let go. Therefore, it needs no cause to become jealous. It doesn't need a reason, an incident, or an event. The jealousy that certain characters feel can be attributed to their own analysis of events rather than the truth. An example would be Iago thinking, believing perhaps, that both Cassio and Othello have slept with his wife Emilia. He has no proof about this, but he's quite okay with the idea of being jealous about it and using that kind of jealousy to create havoc with both Othello, Cassio, and Desdemona's lives. The play provides numerous elements that can be used to support, agree with, or refute, disagree with Emilia's opinion, depending on the spin on how you perceive it. So, a couple of ideas about Iago and jealousy. Iago is jealous of Cassio because he has a daily beauty in his life that Iago can never possess. This daily beauty that Cassio has includes his charm with women, his good looks, the fact that he's of Florentine nobility, so he has an easy way with people, something that Iago does not have. Iago's jealousy is aggravated, made worse by his suspicion that both Othello and Cassio have had an affair with his wife. Iago does not have any proof, but even though he knows there is no firm evidence, on the basis of mere suspicion, he will seek revenge. This shows his insecurity in his marriage, which is the cause of his jealousy of Cassio and Othello. Iago hates Othello's success and power as a military man, as well as his good reputation. In the beginning, you'll see several quotes that you can use that shows Othello's good reputation. This jealousy of Iago proves to be monstrous because it makes him want to hurt and destroy Othello, and in that process, he will also destroy other people, like Emilia, Desdemona, Roderigo. That's Iago and jealousy. Othello is also a victim of jealousy because he too is insecure in his marriage. His insecurity stems from the fact that he is black in a white society, a foreigner in Venice. Remember, he is a Moor, so he's originally from North Africa. Excuse me. He's much older than Desdemona, and he thinks that he does not behave like an elegant Venetian gentleman. He lacks experience in intimate relationships and is unfamiliar with the complexities of Venetian women. So these would be cultural things that he may not be aware of. Iago produces minimal proof of Desdemona's infidelity, where he accuses Desdemona of committing adultery with Cassio. So he shows Othello the handkerchief, and the alleged dreams that he says Cassio told him about the one night he was in Cassio's room, in Cassio's bed, in fact. And Othello becomes completely possessed by jealousy. He dismisses his love for his wife. "Oh, my fond love, thus do I blow to the heaven." In that line, you can also see a choice. Othello undergoes a radical transformation from referring to Desdemona using imagery of divinity, heaven, godly, to imagery of the bestial, like animals. So an example of bestiality or a bestial image would be earlier on when, I think it's Iago, accuses him of Othello is beyond reason in his actions when he thinks that Desdemona is cheating on him. He loses his ability to think coherently, clearly, and is so consumed that he cannot see that the ocular proof, ocular referring to something that you can actually see, that Iago proves is actually not real. He fails to even consider Desdemona's possible response to the situation. He does not give her a chance to actually explain herself, um, thus showing his determination to find her guilty. I do just want to quickly add at this point that when he, in his defense, when he did ask her about the handkerchief, she did lie, or if not completely lie, evade the truth, the whole truth at that point. Othello's loss of control sees him reduced from a man who is deservedly held in high esteem to a pathetic individual who loses control of his faculties. Remember, he was the highest ranking officer in the army, he's a general, to the point where Iago actually has him writhing on the floor because he's fallen into a trance. He's so consumed with the fact that Desdemona might be cheating that he just pretty much loses it and actually has falls into a trance. Rodrigo is jealous of Othello because he has married Desdemona, the woman he covets, that he wants. He therefore believes that he has reason to assist Iago in his plans to inform Brabantio, Desdemona's father, of the elopement. Elopement is when you run away or leave in secrecy to get married without other people knowing or without the permission, in this case, of Desdemona's father. Rodrigo is a materialistic fool who believes that if he showers Desdemona with more gifts and pays Iago to mediate between him and Desdemona, he will stand a chance with her. This makes him jealous of anyone who stands in his way. The notes are not here, but Bianca as well is very jealous of Cassio. She is a prostitute, remember? However, she has fallen in love with Cassio, and she gets really, really angry and upset and jealous when she thinks that Cassio is with another woman. So you can see from most of the points raised in this answer that yes, jealousy does consume a lot of the characters and does pervade the play. On the other hand, one could say that this is an unfair statement because initially Iago, as far as we know, is only jealous of Cassio because Cassio has been promoted to a position that he really wants. So that's Iago's reason for being jealous. From the kind of person he first shows himself to be with Rodrigo and taking Rodrigo's money and promising that he's going to organize, in inverted commas, a tryst between Rodrigo and Desdemona, we can see that he's not the nicest person. But that's not the question. The question is, does jealousy have a cause? And if we're answering that question, we can say yes, Iago is in some way um, a person that has become jealous because Cassio got promoted. We could also say that Othello is not, or as far as we can see from the beginning, and from how other people speak about him, that he's not a jealous person. That was not the impression Desdemona had of him, although her time and her experience and her relationship with him is obviously still very, very new. Um, he did not come across as a jealous person. So his jealousy is stoked. It's it's fanned by Iago. One might argue that that Othello is not by nature a jealous character, but his love for Desdemona is so intense, so passionate, so all-consuming, um, so deep that equally his jealousy is comparable to the extent of his love. Meaning, if he did not love her so much, perhaps he would not have been as jealous. So those are also um, ideas, concepts, views, perceptions that you can also consider. Desdemona, as a woman and a wife, an innocent and naive woman caught up in the deception and lies. Is this a fair and complete assessment of Desdemona? Desdemona lives a sheltered life as a Venetian young lady, noble young lady, um, lives with her father Brabantio. There's no mention of her mother or other friends her age or other women either. So definitely a sheltered life in Venice. She's inexperienced, innocent in the ways of love and relationships. She falls in love with an older man, Othello, of a different culture and race. She listens enthralled to his stories. She elopes, pretty much runs away with Othello, in spite of her father's disapproval. Well, they secretly marry, and then her father finds out when Roderigo and Iago tell him about it. Um, and when both Othello and Brabantio are in the Senate, her choice is clear. She chooses Othello over her father, right? She's disobedient to her father and disrespectful to his wishes. She's totally devoted to her husband, which has its pros and its cons. Um, in Cyprus, so they've now left Venice. Remember, they just got married, and Othello accepts the commission to leave to Cyprus to defend Cyprus against an invasion from the Turks. Cyprus is an island that belongs to Venice. In Cyprus, Desdemona becomes a victim of the plans of the evil Iago, who uses her to avenge himself on Othello. So he will use Desdemona, intimate that she's unfaithful, that she's committing adultery with Cassio. Desdemona is caught up in a plot against her, involving a supposed relationship with Cassio. Loyal to Othello, she is unaware of what is happening as his jealousy and rage increases. She remains true to her promise to help reinstate Cassio, because Cassio has lost his position as lieutenant because he was drunk. She lies about the loss of the handkerchief, a crucial, very important, very significant mistake. Desdemona represents all that is good, but she's undermined by evil Iago's constant lies and deception, helped along by Roderigo. She has no defense against Othello's accusations, as she's too young and inexperienced. And you'll see that when she doesn't recognize that he's angry, he's upset. And when he asks her questions about the handkerchief, she allows the conversation to deviate, constantly coming back to Cassio, which again shows her youth and her inexperience. All the other characters praise her innocence, her goodness, and her generosity. Finally, utterly defenseless against her husband's unsubstantiated, no evidence, or very, very flimsy evidence. So against that husband's accusations, she dies, proclaiming her innocence, her love, and her total devotion to him. Ultimately, Desdemona is destroyed by the manipulation of Iago and Othello's weakness. However, we cannot ignore Desdemona's own role in her downfall. So, for example, right from the beginning, she insists that she will go with Othello, although in her defense, Brabantio says that she can't stay with him either. Then her innocence, her inexperience, her hasty marriage to Othello, her not knowing him well enough to leave so soon or to marry so suddenly. These are also her decision to help Cassio, her trust of Emilia. All these are things that would also point to Desdemona's own role in her downfall.
Famous quotations from Othello. Iago is most honest. Othello says this, and it may be the most ironic statement ever made. Iago is never honest. Oh, beware, my lord, of jealousy. It is the green-eyed monster which doth mock. Another contender in the most ironic line of all-time contest. Iago says this, and he's right. Othello should beware. However, Iago uses it to gain Othello's trust. Who steals my purse steals trash. Iago again, and to Othello again. He's talking about how terrible it is to lose one's reputation, and how much more that's worth than money. It is true, but also a kind of warning. You ruined my name by not giving me the promotion I deserved. And a threat. I'm going to destroy your reputation. I will wear my heart upon my sleeve for daws to peck at. Iago to Roderigo, and another in a string of ironies. Iago's heart is never exposed, never on his sleeve. Othello's is, though, and Iago is the crow that pecks at it. Then you must speak of one who loved not wisely, but too well. This is the saddest line in the play. It's Othello describing himself after he learns Desdemona was innocent. Translation, I loved her so much, and I was such an idiot that I killed her.